even on some of these places that we're working on right now, if we decide not to take a loan out on them right now, then they're going to cash flow way more, obviously. So what is sort of your sweet spot for leverage that you're trying to get to? We definitely don't want to be over leveraged. Just because of our investment philosophy, we're likely to be under leveraged, but we don't want to do too much of that.
Yeah, great question. Because to a certain extent, this just comes down to numbers. I had this conversation with somebody recently where they said, well, if I've got this money, I want to say they had like 160 available, 170 available. Should I just buy a property outright? I said, you totally can. Like in this situation, there's not really a wrong decision. There's an optimized decision, but buying real estate's probably, like, if you do it the right way, like what we're talking about, is probably going to be a good situation. So either one of these decisions, whether you buy all cash or you buy leveraged, is a pretty good decision. Buying all cash is safer with, and for that safety, you take a trade-off of a lower return. And here's what I mean. You can calculate this number. So let's say you got $100,000 and you could either buy cash or you could buy 5 properties at 20% down, $500,000 properties, or you can buy one $100,000 property, right? You buy that $100,000 property in my market. Let's say you're renting it out for $1,500 a month. You still have property taxes and insurance and then some maintenance. So let's say you walk away with $850 a month. Well, let's say it's 1,000. All right. Maybe it's 1,100, but let's say it's 1,000 because math is a little bit easier that way. Right. So you got $1,000 a month and you paid $100,000 for it. Right. So what's your cash on cash return? You're making $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 back. You put $100,000 in. So 12 over 100 is 12%. Right. That's not a bad cash on cash for buying a property outright. 12% is pretty good. Right. Now, what's the other option? The other option would be to buy 5 20% down properties. Right. And all of these properties, let's say they cash flow $250 a month. Right. First of all, that's going to be tax-free because you have the additional leverage, or you have the additional operational cost of your debt service. All right. So all the other money is mostly going to be taxable, right? That $1,000 a month is going to be taxable. This $250 a month per property is not going to be taxable, right? It'll be tax-free. With 5 of those properties, you'll end up with $1,250 a month, all tax-free, right? And usually, like, we're being pretty conservative with the cash flow right now because I'm talking about today's market, right? So these numbers are actually even a little bit closer than they normally would be. But if it's $300 a property, you're looking at $1,500 a month, tax-free, right? And so all that to say, you're able to leverage, by using leverage, you're able to increase your cash flow. On top of that, real estate is the only asset class where you can put in $1 and get out 5 and buy $5 worth of value, right? So in the stock market, you put in $1,000, you get $1,000 worth of stock, and tomorrow it goes up or down, right? In real estate, you put in $1,000, you get $5,000 worth of real estate, right? You put 20% down, 20 grand in, and you get $100,000, right? So if you use that $100,000, it's 20% down. Now you have a $500,000 portfolio. On the other side, you buy it all cash, you get a $100,000 portfolio. Let's say property values go up 10% in the next year, 2 years, whatever it might be. Your $100,000 property is now worth $110,000. You made $10,000. Your $500,000 properties all go up in value. So you just made $50,000. Right. And in today's market, that is one of the most distinct values because inflation is still high. The cost of the power of money, the purchasing power of money is still declining and is tax-free. Right. So that's why I would say leverage. Then the question is, what's the right amount of leverage, or what is over leverage? And this can mean a lot of different things to different people. I try and target between 50 and 70% LTV. So if I get in the 50s in my portfolio, I'm taking, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 doors, and I'm refinancing them. I'm pulling the equity out and I'm buying more properties. I'm recycling the equity because that's not a taxable event. All right. So that's the 50 to 70% range. But the question, what is over leverage, is helpful to answer. One, it It does look different for different people because some people just have a naturally higher risk tolerance. That's totally fine. But if you think about what the worst thing that can happen would be, risk being a function of what's the cost if it goes wrong and what's the probability, find something pretty low probability. Think of 2008, 2009. The likelihood of that happening again is pretty low. And what happened? Property values went down about 20%, 25%. Right? So worst case scenario, property values go down 20 or 25%. If you're buying at 80%, you're not going to be underwater. Right? So one of the questions of, am I over leveraged, is what happens if the market becomes less favorable? All right. If that were to put you into the red where everything, all the dominoes start coming down, that's over leveraged. In this situation, you're not going to be over leveraged because you're going to have at least 20% equity in every home that you own. And that buffer is that buffer is a buffer of safety. The other thing is, if your property's cash flow, it would take a 70% decrease in rental value in order for you to not be able to pay your mortgage. A 70% decrease in rental value is not going to happen. Year over year, rental values have never gone down. Because when someone gets foreclosed on, where do they go? They become a renter, right? So the rental market only goes up. Home prices do this, but generally they do this going up and to the right. All right. So that's my commentary on over leverage, or the right amount of leverage. I target 50 to 70% LTV. And then if I get into the 50 or 60% window, I'm starting to seriously consider refinancing and purchasing more property. Hey, thanks for watching. If this was helpful to you and you want to keep learning the most productive insider secrets about real estate investing, subscribe here. If you're ready to start building your cash flowing portfolio and do what I did, build a multi-million-dollar portfolio in 18 months so that you can quit the rat race 9 to 5 in less than 3 years, and you want someone to walk you through the entire process step by step so that you can move faster with less risk, be protected from risk, then click here to learn how I work with people. And I will show you how I help people get their first cash flowing rental in 90 days. Don't stay trapped, become financially free so you can do what matters.